So RBN proves that they're just typical American media. Hopefully, if you watch my content, you're you have not fallen for the scam of the demonizing of mainstream media as if somehow because it's corporate that makes it evil, as if the evil doesn't come from the for-profit business model, which definitely applies to independent media, even more so, right? Just do a basic comparison. If you got a multi-millionaire in mainstream media that doesn't have to work another day in their life, they got so much money, right? Versus you have an independent person who may have come from poverty, or they were just working a regular job. Now they're making a ton of money with their political content, and may not have a great resume or a lot of skills that can make a lot of money. So if their political commentary career falls apart, it could be very bad for them. Who is more compromised? The multimillionaire that doesn't have to work, doesn't have to do anything, can just quit and live a life of luxury? Or that regular person that saw a rapid rise in terms of financially due to doing independent media? Anyway, RBN went after the Crystal and Kyle and all these people because of the whole wedding situation, officiating the wedding, and love them or hate them, RBN makes good points. They do go insane about some things, and I certainly have a lot of issues with things that they have put out, but they make some good points sometimes. And this, in my view, was one of them. Now, the way that they went about it was certainly colored by their partisanship and their bias and their tribalism. But put that aside, facts over feelings, it was very troubling. This cozy relationship. I mean, the same people who would question the same thing in corporate media, all of a sudden, if independent media does it, oh well, it's not that big of a deal, right? But enter Cornel West. The very beginning of me seeing RBN talking to Cornel West, I get an instant sort of red flags of like cozy, right? What's the problem with Crystal and Marion Wilson? They're like friends, right? No one expects her or Kyle to really hold Marion Wilson's feet to the fire, right? But when I look at RBN talking with Dr. Cornel West, I get the same kind of vibe, right? I think Cornel West mentioned something. They were talking, and there was something like, it seems like Cornel West was talking to, I guess, Nick's mother or something. Um, Now, I'm not saying just because he spoke to his mother like that's like a bad thing. I mean, imagine, but I don't know how he even got to meet his mother in the first place, right? But the issue that I'm having is, again, a lot of little signs of comfort and coziness, and we are friends rather than some kind of adversarial. To me, that's how the media should be. Media should be adversarial to power, right? Um, and some would say, what power does he have? What power does Marion Williamson have? But come on, like, we weren't born yesterday. We know the deal. These people talk a big talk. They want to run for office, right? And then they will be on independent media and talking that big talk, and they'll get support, and people on the left will get all excited. And then if they actually win, they get in office, then they become. And RBN will tell you this. RBN will tell you this, so they know this stuff, right? They get into office. If you're like AOC in the beginning, you might actually walk a little bit of the walk, and then you get beat down by the corporate Democrats and corporate media, and then you make a decision at one point. You say, listen, I can stay true to my original vision, or I can keep my career. More often than not, in fact, I've never seen this not happen. More often than not, they choose career, right? and they slowly start to tone down. Like in the beginning, they're toxic. Mainstream media does only bashes them. They're not invited on those shows, right? CNN and MSNBC, unless they're gonna invite them to attack them, right? And then they start slowly toning down and capitulating and becoming a surrogate of the corporate Democrats. And then all of a sudden, you notice you don't see them being called out or attacked by the establishment Democrats anymore. And then you start seeing them on CNN and MSNBC and real comfortable, and all of a sudden CNN is interested in their perspective on like random stuff, not even stuff that's directly related to them as progressives. And then that's when the full circle has been completed in terms of they are no longer who you voted for or who you supported, or like that's over. They are now part of the machine, right? So I say that to say the idea that Cornel West, he doesn't have any power, and Marianne Wilson doesn't have any power. Again, let's be big picture thinkers, right? He's trying to run for president, right? First of all, he's gonna get some power from running for president, just from him leading a movement and all the support, and then donations coming in, and there's gonna be a lot of opportunities there. And if he actually wins, right, regardless of the possibility, if he actually wins, I mean, now he's a politician, right? And the people, RBN, how much putting feet to the fire are we going to get from RBN? Just being humans. Like, not even look at them negatively in terms of dishonest or frauds or whatever. Just human nature. Right? If Nick really likes Cornel West and his mother as well, and there was some kind of a bonding thing where he spoke to his mother, and because Cornel West said something like, I know Nick now really well from speaking to Nick's mother, Nick from RBN. We're humans, man, and when you blur the lines like that, I mean, think about the idea of Nick going hard on Cornel West if there's some kind of bond between him and Cornel West, and then his mother as well. Is he going to be free to just speak his mind and really hold his feet to the fire? Why would we want a mini mainstream media? Right? This is what mainstream media does, right? I remember, what was it? Joe Biden was on CNN and he was talking to like Chris Cuomo, and there was some comment that indicated like they were like friends behind the scenes, or had some kind of friendly relationship. Something about like he had like a prayer bracelet or something, and Cuomo was like, I don't know, there was some kind of friendly comment made, similar to what we see on RBN, right? And that's one of the problems with mainstream media, right? These guys are all in some kind of a club, right? Elites, Washington elites, the media and the politicians alike. They're socializing with these politicians behind the scenes and then supposedly reporting on them. And now you have RBN getting real close with Cornel West. His family, mother, getting close with him. And then we're supposed to trust that he's being objective in his coverage of Cornel West. And when I watch Cornel West on the show, I just see a lot of head nodding, and they really, really seem to be into this guy. Like, oh yeah, and he's and a brother and sister and the black this and a black system, and we gotta do. And you see them just sitting there like, it's like I'm watching Joe Biden on CNN or the now AOC on CNN, right? Back in the day, it wasn't like that, but now AOC going to CNN like, she's an inspiring woman. Look at her, she's doing her thing. Look at her, man. AOC, where do you find the time to do all these? Marianne Wilson on Crystal and Kyle, right? She's going to this and the Democratic Party and we've got to do more for the people and oh yeah, Marion, that's right, yeah, that's not it. So the signs that I'm getting is that RBN is doing the exact thing that they rightfully called out um, the Marianne Williamson clan for doing. Because, just like most American media, they don't really care about the stuff they speak about, right? They didn't really have that much of a problem with what Marianne Williamson was doing. They would do it themselves, right? It was more about content, right? It's all about views. Um, they looked at that as something to stir up controversy or get clicks or whatever, and but they don't really care about that. There's no principled view of like let's keep a hard edge, a separation, between us and the people we're supposed to hold accountable. You're running for office. I can't be your friend, right? I gotta keep you at a distance because when you screw up, I need to be completely freed and not compromised to go hard and put your feet to the fire, right? I am media, RBN, Crystal and Friends. Breaking points, right? You guys are media, independent media. You've got to keep a hard line between you and those in power or those who are on a path towards power. As objective as I might be, put my feelings aside, focus on the facts, not part of any tribe, don't really care about, validating people's beliefs and being accepted. I will say what's on my mind, I will say the truth, regardless of the consequences. But even with all that just brutal honesty and completely untethered, I am still human. And if I were behaving as recklessly as these folks in independent media, I can say I'd probably still do a better job of being objective after the fact, just based on who I am and how I operate. But even myself, I mean, a politician, if my mother were alive and you spending time talking with her on a personal level and she's talking about me to you, that is too much. I would probably end up still holding true and criticizing you, but it's not going to be the raw, authentic criticism that I would normally do. I'm going to be holding back, just human nature, right? I may act as if I'm a savage, but I'm not an actual savage. I do have feelings. I'm not an android, I'm a human being. And I can be compromised if I allow myself to be. Which is exactly why I wouldn't be doing what RBN is doing. I wouldn't be doing what Crystal and Kyle is doing. Because I would hold too highly my position in terms of, a responsibility to my audience, right? People are relying on me to get my perspective, to, see through the noise and understand what's going on. And I can't effectively do that if I'm compromised. So, really, really taking seriously, what I'm delivering for my audience, I couldn't allow myself to be compromised like that. I would do everything possible to avoid this kind of scenario. And if it does happen, I would recuse myself. Right? Let's say, for example, somehow somebody's running for office and like they happen to be really close friends with a family member of mine, and maybe they live next door or whatever it is. Right? I'm not going to be ridiculous and completely forfeit a potential relationship or anything like that just because of my show. But what I would do is I would refuse to comment much about this person or their competitors, um, because of the fact that I would acknowledge that I'm compromised, right? There's a lot of other stuff I can talk about. I don't have to talk about these two people. I don't have to comment about things that my friend or close associate is involved in terms of running for office. I don't need to do that, right? Crystal doesn't have to comment about Marion Williamson and her competition. I know that is part of her job, but she can choose to talk about other stuff and let her audience know I can't talk about this because she's my friend. That's the ethical thing to do. RBN can choose to do that. They can all choose to do that, but they don't, and I'll let you decide why that is. Why I come to a different conclusion than they do. The guy who doesn't make any money here and doesn't give a rat's ass about views and fame and attention. You figure that one out. This is Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Don't believe the hype.